How we doing?
Good, good.
That's good. I start this off the same way every time. Can you tell me your name and where we are?
My name is Luke Boyd, aka Classified, and we're in Enfield, Nova Scotia.
All right. How long have you lived here for?
It'll be 11 years in July.
In this place?
In this house, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
we
you-
built this. We built this. Yeah, the week my middle child was born, we moved in here. So however old she is, that's how I know how long we've been living here
All right. All right. How long are you? Are you born and raised here in Nova Scotia?
in Enfield. Yeah, yeah. Just even in Enfield, the small town. So we lived in like 3 different houses on, my childhood street, then another one down in Enfield, and then I moved to the city. My parents moved to another house, and then I moved back here, and then we built this 5 years after that. So maybe 6 or 7 different houses in Enfield, which is
Yeah. So
it's a little ridiculous, really. In a small town of 4,000 people, 6 different houses.
you go by the name Classified.
Mm-hmm.
Was that your first name?
No, MC Shuffed, Doobie of the Game, just a bunch of stupid things. Like, my name was Doobie, and I never smoked weed at this time or nothing. Just my friends who were older and they were in the rap group just called me that, and I went with it because I was the young, influenced kid that would just do what the older kids said.
How did Classified come about?
Classified was when I was going to the studio the first time with Joe, not making the beat, but actually going to record. And I hated the whole Doobie name, Chef, and all that stuff. It just meant nothing to me. And we were sitting at CKDU actually doing vocals there. And I was like, I need a rap name. I was going through the paper, saw Classified, said, oh, okay, class of my own, class in session. Can use a bunch of things to play off that. I'll just use this for now. And, that was 27 years ago. So it was just a name that I picked of something like, I need a rap name. If you're gonna ask me now, I'd go by Luke Boyd. And just, I am who I am, my music. But then there was Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre and Redman, and everyone had like a cool rap name. Yeah, so I would classify it as like a temporary thing, but then it became a permanent
Classified
thing.
it as.
Stuck with it.
So we're here to talk about brand and the business behind building a brand, right? So Classified was the start of your brand,
Yeah.
right? How at the beginning did you, maybe without even realizing it, how did you start creating a brand behind that name?
And it was without noticing it. It wasn't, when I was 15, it wasn't like, how am I going to get the name out there? It wasn't like now with social media where, especially nowadays, I think a new artist knows, okay, I got to create my webpage, I got to create my social media handles, I got to be on TikTok creating content to get the brand name out. I think my brand unintentionally was created when Joe Run, when I was in this, it's weird that all these first questions are just based around Joe Run, but it was around the start of it. And I was recording my first verse, and I was like, rat-a-tat-tat with my gat, swing with the baseball bat. My homie got a 9, what you think of that? I never had a gun. I wasn't beating people up with baseball bats. But being a young kid listening to hip-hop that was coming from the streets of New York and the projects in LA and all this, I thought that's what you were supposed to do. So when I'm doing this, Joe stops it. He goes, man, do you really do any of this? And I was like, no, I just thought it sounded good, and this is what you're supposed to do. And he's like, no, be yourself. Like, that's how you're going to stand out. And from that point on, that was like, oh, I kind of opened my eyes. And it was like hip-hop was about representing who you are, being real to yourself, and being honest and secure of what you are. So when he told me that, that's when I kind of went back and was like, okay, I'm a small-town kid from Nova Scotia, small-town white kid. 'Cause this is before Eminem. This is before, Vanilla Ice was our rapper back then, and it wasn't a good look. So it was, being a white rapper then was a lot more different than now. But I think that's when my branding started, when he told me that. And I was like, okay, who am I? What am I about? I am a small town kid. I grew up playing hockey, ground hockey in the streets with my friends. So just being like that honest small town kid from Canada, that became my brand because there was no one else in hip hop doing that. And that's when I realized it.
If you were to give advice to someone, it doesn't even have to be in music,
Yeah.
in business in general, if someone who is building a band and a brand and trying to build an audience, what would be your advice to them?
Make sure you like what you're doing. You know what I mean? Obviously be authentic, be yourself, but I think that's the biggest thing now is people are always like, oh, I could do that. I could, I want to do that because I could be successful. I could be famous. I could be whatever it is. Anything in this world that's going to get you to a plateau where you feel like you're successful, you got to work hard at it. Doesn't matter what it is. You might get lucky and get like a quick little hit and You got famous for 20 minutes and, you know, next year you're back to doing whatever. But if you're really trying to be successful in something, you've got to enjoy what you're doing. Other words, it's just a pain in the ass, and who wants to do a bunch of work for something that might not work out or might work out? But if you love what you're doing and you're enjoying it the whole time, which is how my whole system went, you know, I was working for 10 years just doing this, having fun doing it before I made any money because I liked doing it. And then the money came around because I kept getting better at it because I kept working at it. It's kind of like the most simplest thing you could think of, but a lot of people don't think of it that way. They think, there's a hustle. Let me do this as much as I can, try to get known. But if you're not enjoying it, it's not worth it. Because at the end of it all, after that 20, 30 years of working it, you're not going to go, oh, I'm successful and feel great about yourself all of a sudden. You're going to look back at the 30 years ago, man, the stories, the moments, the times I had, that was the journey, is the happiness to it. So for me, that's my first piece of advice is don't do this to be successful and happy, or sorry, successful and famous. Do it to find happiness in something you enjoy doing.
In building a business, and you're going to have these ebbs and flows of crazy busy and lulls, even if you don't have a global pandemic.
Yeah.
But you touched on the fact it's like, I'm slow, I'm going to dig into my acoustic album, write my book, and start making videos. Like, is that something you would say you would learn from that? So if slow happens again, would
Yeah,
I'm kind of looking at like a bit of advice or a bit of insight from it.
Yeah, just knowing like, okay, if we do shut down, but like you said, that has happened over the years, you know, but again, it was always just waking up going, okay, we pushed the album, we did the tour, back to square one, the kids are gone to school, wife's doing, what am I doing today? What do I enjoy doing? I like coming out here, rolling up a joint, get on the drum machine, make a beat, just like I did when I was 18. So like, I still enjoy doing that. So the last few albums, I never planned to make my last few albums. I just came out here and made beats, and I was like, oh, I like this. And as soon as I got that excitement, there's just something in me like, oh, I'm not going to give this to someone else. Like, I'm going to write to this. And like you can see it in my face, I'm smiling now thinking about it. Like, I just enjoy doing that process. So, you know, when you don't have, with COVID and with just everything shut down, it was harder to just kind of keep that mind frame of like, let's just get out there, make some beats and prepare for the future. But you know, as it kept going on, I realized like that's what I have to do. Even if it doesn't come out, even if the music doesn't come out or nothing happens, for my own daily happiness, I had to get up and do something. You know, I started working out, just doing that for 20 minutes in the morning felt like, okay, I accomplished something. You know, so just those small little things definitely feels like it just gives me purpose. And I think that's what I need in my life.
It's clearly a passion.
100%.
Right. So you'd probably, even if you weren't getting paid, this is what you'd be doing. Like
Still
you
be
touched
doing
on
it.
the beginning.
Yeah. You know, obviously if I didn't do the music thing, I'd be going to work, and then I'd probably come home and be like, let me hang out with the kids and sit on the couch because I'm tired. I worked all day. But fortunately in my position, I do have the whole day free to kind of do whatever I want. And what do I want to do? I kind of want to come out here and do this again. So.
Yeah. Even with photography for me, it used to be like, I'd go out and I'd shoot and I'd come home. And after the shoot, and I sit down in front of the computer and I crack a beer and have a hoot.
Bring the pictures out.
And bring the pictures, and it's like if someone does it like 9 to 5, and I go home and do it from 9 to 5, and then I do it till 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
It's those extra 5 hours
that make the difference.
That make me just rise above.
And I find that's the enjoyable part. Like it's probably the same but different, but shooting videos. Like me and my brother shoot all our videos now, so we'll go out, shoot all day, 7 hours. It's a little bit stressful. It's not really the funnest thing for me. But then we come back here and load the footage up here at Roll a Joint, go through the footage, start brainstorming ideas, and like that's the fun for me. So you got to do that little bit of hustle to get to that fun sometimes, but it's just kind of part of it.
How important is authenticity to your brand?
Everything.
Everything.
I would have never stood out. Like if I came out rapping like I was from New York, people would look at me and go, look, this guy's just another guy trying to be like something else. I can get the real thing in New York. Once I realized you can only get one version of Luke Boyd from Luke Boyd and be as honest as I can, the things that I am insecure about, talk about that in my music because other people are going to relate to that. And that kind of became my brand, just this honest speaking, you know, immature guy that's still trying to figure out his way. And, you know, I think another person was Kanye West that was very similar to that. His first few albums, he was vulnerable. He was, you know, being insecure, saying I need to wear gold chains because people around me said I need to do that to look like I'm successful. And so I think it kind of came from that same thing of just being a genuine version of myself.